Studio 110.live back at it. Dirty Harry here in the captain's chair. Big shout out to my guests that were on the big program yesterday. Alejandro from Diego, rated the #1 nicest, most elegant cannabis retail shop here in the Northwest, in my opinion, internationally. Even though I haven't seen it yet, I've seen the pictures, and the pictures do justice alone. Then we switched off to since it was Tech Tuesdays yesterday, we did the automotive side of the tech business, and we had Brendan in here from Chuck's Automotive, and he really talked about a lot of really interesting things. One thing that I remember specifically, I remember the whole thing because I was interviewing him, but he talked about how by using Windex to clean your back windshield of your vehicle, how the Windex, the ingredients in Windex can interfere with your rear defroster. Never knew it. And he says that he's been seeing issues with cars where the Windex gets in, the solution gets in, into those grids and screws up the heating elements. And so, hey, you learn new things every day here at Studio110.live. If you're not following us on Instagram, like I say every day, what are you waiting for? I mean, there's really no other priorities other than to be following us on our Instagram, Studio110.live. I'm excited for today's show. I like the busier shows. I like all the shows, but I like the shows where we have lots of guests coming in, talking music, fashion, nightlife, pop culture, tech, everything. So we got we got a lot of fun, interesting things in the works. Shout out to our two guys down in Los Angeles right now, Cristiano and Pierre. They called me earlier in the car on my way into the studio, and they said they had some good news for me. I'll always take good news. That tomorrow and or Friday, I'm going to decide which day I want to do it. At about 3 o'clock, I'll be making a big, huge announcement with a celebrity calling in that I'll be interviewing in conjunction with this announcement. So be by your radio, be by your phones, your iPads, wherever you're watching the show, listening to the show. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss this announcement. All right, I want to welcome in my first in-studio guest this afternoon, Elena Mock. Did I pronounce your last name, by the way?
No. It's Mac, the
Mac.
French style.
No, well, I apologize. I apologize. Well, Elena Mack. So like as in Mac Cosmetics.
Almost, but the French style. Q-U-E at the end.
So I don't want to butcher it anymore, so I'm just going to refer to you as Elena, and then every time I say Elena, then that'll be your cue to say your last name. So I don't want to make any. I want to make sure I get it perfectly correct.
That's fine. Yep.
So before I give you kind of the proper introduction and why you're here and we start talking about music, you enlightened me a few minutes ago before I signed on here for the day. And we were talking about some fashion and some different brands, and you mentioned a word called D squared.
Yes.
And you are.
I'm a fan. Big time.
Yeah, I could tell you're a fan, and I'm also a fan. I've been a fan for a long time. I've had the opportunity to meet Darren and Dan, the twin brothers behind this iconic brand called D squared.
Yes.
I've been to a couple of their boutique stores around the country. I own quite a bit of it. And you're probably the first person, Elena, and that's your cue to say your last name.
Mac.
There you go. You're probably the first person, for sure, my first guest here on my new show here at Studio110.live that can relate to D squared, and that can actually, I could talk D squared for hours.
I've been living here for almost 10 years,
yeah.
And you're the first person in Seattle that knows the brand.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, your eyes totally sparkled when you heard it.
Yeah,
the way it should be.
It's one of those brands, and correct me if I'm wrong, tell me if you agree with what I'm saying. They're always out of the gate first with just the funkiest pieces. Like they'll take like a blazer and they'll do like your traditional leather sleeve on the blazer.
Absolutely.
Or denim sleeves, or they'll do like a funky zipper around like the lapel. Like I just like how strategic they are, and their stuff's not boring.
Not boring, no. And I feel like it defines me as a person.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the coolest brand that I would say it reflects my inner style.
Yeah.
So and I feel like you're the same. So
yeah, and I like the leather jacket. At first I thought it was Saint Laurent because I was looking at the zipper.
Similar, yeah.
I was looking at the hardware, the zippers, and the Saint Laurent zippers is very similar. And that you said that's All Saints.
Yes, All Saints.
It's a very nice leather jacket. I like your style.
Thank you.
I wear a lot of leather jackets myself, and I'm totally into like the biker look. So welcome to the big show. I'm glad you're here today, and we got a lot to talk about. You're an artist. you do a lot of things. I mean, you're an artist. You do some modeling. You got your kind of footprints in the fashion scene. And it's great to have you in today. And I kind of want to kick it off. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to play your new song. It's called Chance.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure too.
Yeah, and I'm excited. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to play it a few times. You're going to be with me the whole hour. And if you're okay with it, you'll kind of also act as my co-host today. We've got the Sneaker Wars brand coming in.
Absolutely.
And we'll put them right here on my other guest, Mike here. And Elena can be my co-host for the day. Yeah, there you go. Can be my co-host for the day. So let's kick this off.
Yeah.
You grew up in St. Petersburg.
I did. Not Florida, guys, not Florida.
No.
Russia. The real St. Petersburg.
Yes. And you grew up there, and it sounds like from just kind of an early childhood, you almost really, you knew what you wanted to do. You had that drive. You knew that you wanted to kind of be, connected with the music and everything kind of that what music kind of transcribes today, from music to fashion to...
It's funny you say that. I was raised in a family of 4 kids, and our parents made their goal to give their kids some sort of music education, which is in Russia a little bit different than in America. In America, it feels like every person you meet is like, oh, I played like flute in school, or I played like saxophone, I trumpet, oboe, whatever, you know. And in Russia, it's a little different. It's more of a choice, and you have to pay for it. It's a high art that they don't teach at schools, regular schools. You have to go to music school for that. So our parents, they took us to different classes, and then I played the piano. After my 2 sisters, I picked up the piano as well, and then by age probably 8 or 9, I dropped it. Like, I dropped the whole thing, and I'm like, no, I'm not into piano, I'm not into music, and I started doing a lot of dancing, acting, like all kinds of different schools, and my parents were never, never took me seriously. It's like, oh, she's always doing something that, doesn't last for too long. But
and now they're probably looking back, regretting what they said to you when you were 8 years old. So
but saxophone came much later.
And we know kind of when we talk about saxophones from the research, and I'm all about studying my show prep. It's not really considered a girl's instrument in your home country of Russia.
No, absolutely not. And I had a lot of things on my way that kind of prevented me from achieving and going towards that dream. The biggest probably thing that was the biggest obstacle to get into a music school, and it's considered like the best jazz academy in St. Petersburg. You had to pass exams, and they tried you, right? So there was a lot of students that came and did the tryouts. So I remember I just finished high school and had only a year of saxophone playing because I picked it up like my last year in high school. And most of the kids there were like playing it for 10 years already because they finished that music school that's prior to the academy. So I come in, and there's about 8 men, and some of them are really Soviet-looking men, like, from the communist times. And they're looking at me, and just to give you a little bit of history, across the road from that college, there is acting school, acting academy. So all the beautiful girls, all the like fun-loving people are going there, right? Not to serious jazz or classical academy. So, and I come in, and this young girl, really scared because it's my first year of playing the instrument, and I know what I'm going against, like with all the other competitors. And I'm looking at those faces. They're like totally stone faces, like, and the main guy, the principal, he's like, so I think you mixed up the place. Your place is across the road. Like, why don't you go into your acting school?
And then you set him straight and said, well, no, I'm actually in the right place, right?
I did, but it was very hard because I was nervous, I was shaking, and it was the greeting. And basically throughout my college years, I always had to fight for me because I was the only girl in the whole school that played jazz, that played saxophone. So it was always a lot of, like, all the boys were my peers. And some professors gave me a really hard time, tried to fail me. They're like, you shouldn't be here, you shouldn't be playing jazz, and you shouldn't be playing saxophone, go sing. And I was like, I was a rebel, so that in a way kind of maybe fired me up a little bit.
I mean, I give you a lot of credit because you always knew what your foundation was. You always knew the footprints. You always knew the ways you wanted to align your brand, your sound, your presence, and you stuck with it from age 8, correct? I mean, you were 8 years old. Right around there.
Well, I'm glad you think so. Maybe it wasn't intentional.
But you started playing the instrument when you were 8 years old, so you started, you become accustomed to music at an early childhood age, which obviously, aligned itself up to where you're at right now. I mean, that's, when you talk to, a lot of musicians and artists today, it really did start, in the foundation of upbringing and childhood. So I give you a lot of credit from, that age, knowing that that's what you wanted to do. And you just continued to build up on that. And just the story you just talked about on the air, like this, model talent scout or whoever was running the operation that was across the way, he said, you're in the wrong place. And you said, no. He said, whatever the guy's name was, he said, I'm not in the wrong place.
Yep.
So, like I said, we got Elena here in the studio here with us today, a jazz artist, a well-respected jazz artist here in the Pacific Northwest. I saw a lot of your, some of your past performances and all of the stuff that you've done here online, and I'm quite impressed. You got a heck of a band, and you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You get up there and you just kind of own the crowd, and you've got that good stage presence. And what I'm really excited about is I always like playing music. I'm a talk show. I don't play a lot of music, but I play music, especially when I have artists, on the air with me here in the studio at Studio110.live. So it's an exciting day, I think, for both of us, because this song called Chance is not scheduled to be released till May 12th, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So last time I checked, today is April 11th.
Yep.
So Elena has given me the opportunity to kind of do a worldwide debut on Chance before anybody else really gets their hands on it.
Yep.
So I'm pretty impressed. I mean, I may have to return the favor by treating you to a hot chocolate or something, or a shop.
We can talk about it later.
Or a shopping spree around D squared or D to something that you can relate to. Yeah, there you go. So we also need to discuss today this release party. We got you mentioned to me that we have a release party, and we got to talk about Soul Canvas. And we're just going to kind of get right into it. You mentioned earlier kind of how it all came about. As a child, you took a love and an interest to this instrument, and you adapted your brand and your style around it at an early age, and you just kept with it. And then when you left your home country to relocate, to come here to America, you stuck with it.
It wasn't easy. Yeah. But it was a big change for my music. Because I grew up, I just kind of feel like I need to share that with a mentality. Since I was the third child in my family, I had 2 older sisters. I had very smart parents, and I always kind of relied on them. Somebody knows better. Yep. Like my sisters, because they were super cool. I was always looking up to them. And then as I went, to the music school, since I was really kind of like a late bloomer, I just after just 1 year of playing it, I already got into the school. I always thought that my professors, my other peers, at school, they knew better.
Yep.
So, and that kind of is also a little bit of Russian mentality, kind of in a way. You always kind of listen to the bigger people.
Absolutely. You got it, because someone always needs to kind of open that door and create that pathway. We all have those types of people. I had that person, and a lot of other artists that have been on the show have had those people, and you can never forget what those people ultimately did for you.
But then it can kind of withhold you from finding your own style, your own sound. And when I moved to America, I was kind of left by myself. I didn't know a single musician.
Yep.
And that opened doors to, I'm like, I should do even better. Because in Russia, I was already pretty established. I would play, by the way, I need to mention that. I was playing in a jazz band as I was, studying at my school. And then I also started playing with DJs. So every major event in Moscow or St. Petersburg, even like Europe, I would always playing with DJs, which was completely, out of the box for a jazz musician.
Yeah, sure.
And I had to hide it from my professor not to get expelled. But as I moved to America, I started, searching for new ideas, new sounds. I met tremendous, amazing musicians, some mentors that really influenced me, and it changed my style a lot. And I started composing my own music. I started singing.
Great.
So calling America the land of opportunity.
Oh yeah, the American dream. I mean,
American
absolutely.
Dream.
There you go.
I never knew.
Now you know. So how did you pick jazz ultimately? How was jazz kind of your staple, your foundation in terms of the career path that you wanted to take forward for your brand, your stage presence, and just you overall?
I grew up listening quite a bit of pop music, but by pop I mean like Depeche Mode. You probably know the Leather Jacket.
I do.
Yes, and then some R&B singers, and then when I picked saxophone, it was my teenage years. I just felt like I want something a bit more complicated, more challenging, and that instrument. I mean, there's smooth jazz and there's jazz, and I really wanted the challenge. I wanted the improvisation. Because like my personality, I really like new things, changing things up. Even going to school, I would always pick a different road because it was boring to walk the same road for me.
Yeah, that's what I always say. There's multiple ways to drive to work every day.
Absolutely.
You don't have to take the same way.
Yes,
I mean, I happen to live in Seattle. And, I mean, really, I only have two choices. I can either take 520 or I can take I-90. I mean, or I can take a boat. So, there's
or you can walk.
I could walk or I can run, too. I mean, that could be my morning workout. So, yeah.
So jazz is never the same. Even the same tune, like jazz standards, they've been played for, some of them over 100 years, but they never sound the same. It's always something connected to your soul, to your present experience or emotion, and that's what you build your solo on.
There you go. How did you start writing music?
A few things contributed to that. One, the simplest answer. I had in my band a person who was playing the keys, and he was a great singer as well. And then at some point, I just we couldn't work out our schedules anymore, and I had to hire another piano player, and he couldn't sing. And I'm like, man, on my shows, like 2 or 3 hour gigs, sometimes you want some lyrics. Although I really try to, play
Adapt,
with my
be around
instrument.
it.
But I know that people like the lyrics. And I'm like, it's so hard to find a keyboard player who can sing or, genre, it's not going to work. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should start singing. But I never wanted to. I never wanted to be a singer, and I never tried even, like just saxophone, that's it. And then I started, and I heard like really amazing feedback from singers, from people I respected a lot, and they're like, "Well, what the heck? Like, what have you? Where have you been hiding?" So I started taking some lessons and just performing right away, and that's how singing came along. And then writing music also came along. I just felt like I never wrote anything in my life, not a poem, nothing, because I never thought I could. And then at some point I'm sitting and I had a really bad mood, some, memories, and the rain was dropping. It was like probably the 90th day of nonstop rain. And I was just sitting at my piano, remembering some of my, old school piano days, and just some chords starting appearing and some lyrics. I'm like, what the heck am I writing? And then like 20 minutes later, I have a song, not Chance, my other song that's going to be on my debut album. But
hopefully we'll get the opportunity to, play that here on the show too.
Absolutely, I'd love that. So that's how.
Well, speaking of, before I kind of ask you more about Chance and why we're calling the song Chance and just the history behind Chance, let's let everybody hear Chance right now. We're going to give it. This is called a world premiere. In radio terms, it's called a world premiere. So we're world premiering Elena
Mac,
her new single. That's going to be released on the upcoming album, but right now we're in the business, and right now it's about her song. It's called Chance. You're hearing it first right now at Studio 110.live. Turn this up, y'all. Come on.
It's time to say goodnight. The lights are low, my city sleeps, and the moon is all alone, singing about love, smiling with the ones who stay together. Why don't we take a chance and try to keep alive the spark that once was there, burning in our eyes with everything around, suggesting things like love don't last forever. I
wonder why the song stopped. That shouldn't have not done that. Everything is going good on our end. Let's this is You know this is live radio when we have these types of issues. So let's try this again. I don't know why I did that, but in the meantime,
right before it switched to the tango beat.
I know it was just like
there was a big change.
And you're sure this is the one that we should be playing? This is the second one that you mentioned before we went on there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's try it again here.
It's time to say goodnight. The lights are low, my city sleeps, and the moon is all alone, singing about love, smiling with the ones who stay together. Why don't we take a chance and try to keep alive the spark that once was there, burning in our eyes with everything around, suggesting things like love don't last forever. I don't care, just take my hand. Let's dance the night away with music and the stars. They know much more than you and I can ever say. This night is ours, whatever is ahead. I know that love is like a drug, with misery and joy that only we will share, and no one else can see. The future and the past belong to you and me, my love forever. I don't care, just take my hand. Let's dance the night away with music and the stars. They know much more than you and I can ever say. This night is ours, whatever is ahead. I love you more with every day. Take my hand, let's dance the night away with music and the stars. They know much more than you and I can ever say. This night is ours, whatever is ahead. I love you more with every day. I do, I love you more and more. Let's give this love a chance, love a chance. We'll keep it safe forever. Let's give this love just one more chance. I do love you more with every day. Why don't we take a chance?
Well, that's what you call a world premiere from Elena Mack. There you go, right here. World premiere right here at Studio 110.live. I like the record. I like the sound of the record. I like the feel of the record. It's just got that good kind of classic kind of, it's just got a good vibe to it. It's got a good kind of smooth sound, and you're gonna laugh when I say this, but I am gonna do this for you. And normally I don't really do this, but we did, and there's always a way to relay D squared back into the conversation, Elena. I'm going to, just knowing the way they operate their fashion shows and the type of music that they like to play at their fashion shows, I will send, if you would like me to, I will send this record to a gentleman by the name of Stephen LaGuardia, who runs D Squared.
Runs it, yeah.
Yeah, Stephen LaGuardia runs D Squared, and I will send him the record and have him take a listen and see if he feels that maybe it's something that could possibly be played either in a store or maybe potentially. I never like to promise anything, but maybe at a fashion show. And if that happens,
I would
then
love that.
If that happens, that would be next level.
Then
so.
I'll take you to the square too.
then that would really be a
treat you.
shopping spree. So
Yep.
yeah, if that happens, that would really be a shopping spree. All right, so let's get back into it. I just played it first right here at Studio 110.live, and I was serious about that because I just kind of know the way they kind of orchestrate their type of shows, and that song really kind of resembled
And you know, it's different, the song, and that's why I picked it as a single, because it's so different.
Yep.
When we were recording it, and I was recording with super experienced musicians, some of the best in our state,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Wait, you wanna combine polka or ska, like this,
Yeah.
the oompa oompa
Yep.
oompa style with a tango?" And
Yep.
I'm like, "Yeah." And
Yep.
once we rehearsed a couple times, and then went to the studio, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's working!"
Yeah.
But nobody really. And it's just, I think it's something coming from my classical education in piano.
And I can see that.
And then I really love the Latin culture. I sing a lot in Portuguese, like bossa novas and sambas.
Yep.
So it kind of all came into one tune, which is very springy, summery, and gives this good vibe, I feel.
Yeah, it definitely has that vibe. So why do we call it Chance, though? Like, let's give the kind of the origin in terms of why the title of the song is Chance.
Well, I was reflecting on some, stories about my friends and some people I knew that had like separated or split up or divorced, and my own, life where I had issues in my relationship where it was like on a break or, splitting up and stuff. And I was so fed up at that point with, people saying, "Oh, this sucks, he's wrong, she's wrong." And I want to be happy. I just don't want to try anymore. And to me, it's like, oh my God, if it's like a drug to you, if it's real love, give it another chance.
If you can. I mean, that's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah,
if you can, because I've seen it on both sides. I've seen it where, when you're in a relationship, I see it where you can, talk about things, proper communication. If you don't have proper communication, you don't have anything. But if you've got good communication and you can work it out, I'm all for it. The issues that I see with friends is when they have these conversations and then they work it out, and then 2 days goes by and there's another issue, and the issues continue to keep on happening. So that's what I'm not a fan about, because why just continue to kind of walk up to a brick wall? I mean, that's ultimately what it boils down to, right?
Oh my God, I hear a lot of a lot of pain here. But as with all music, with all art, we write or we create in the moment about our emotion, and in some relationships, absolutely. But in some, I'm like, maybe just try one more time. Both of you, give it a chance.
Yep.
And it's just about that particular emotion, about that particular feeling. And, because I have other songs about people really going apart and not doing anything together anymore. So it's life.
And it's good to know that, your music really comes from a deep pattern where you really are bringing in your personal lifestyle to the music.
Absolutely.
I mean, and really has a strong message evolved into the sound, into the whole, the production, the lyrics of the song as a whole kind of collective effort, ultimately.
Yeah, because this particular song sounds like really different from my other songs, because I'm recording some R&B hip hopish grooves with a DJ, but jazz harmonies and chord progressions, and then some straight up jazz, some Latin. So my CD is going to be a nice mixture of different styles. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be able to listen to the full CD in completion, and especially hear some of the R&B tracks that you're talking about. How would you define your music style? You personally.
I would say I've been asked that question a lot, and I would say bringing 20th and 21st century together. So I really respect my roots and even before 20th century, the classical music, the tradition, but then knowing that and then respecting the new styles.
Right.
Because I feel like there's a few camps that people stay in, and I just want to bring them all together.
Good.
Why can't we do it?
Yeah, we absolutely can do it. It just,
yeah.
I mean, everybody needs to be thinking alike and.
Yeah, because I see a lot of jazz musicians kind of being snobbish and like, oh, this music I can't listen to it. It's too primitive.
Well, they need to leave the ego at the door is what they need to do.
And then some people that love pop music are like, oh, what is this? A bunch of noise. I don't understand. Maybe you never gave it a chance.
Right,
Maybe you never
See,
tried
there
to
you go.
understand.
There you go. Chance.
That's what I'm. Yeah, there's a lot of.
And that's a good message too, like you just said to other artists out there. Like if it's a collaboration or it's multiple people sharing the same stage or an
Yes.
outside appearance come spring summer. You got to not only help each other up, you got to believe in each other, right?
Yes,
And if you don't really
absolutely.
have that kind of inner kind of core strong beliefs built in, then you really don't have much. So that's just my personal opinion on it. But
Yeah, I agree with you.
yep.
That-
How would you how would you say your music has evolved just over the last year?
Well, just being, singing,
Uh-huh.
that added a lot, writing lyrics, and then just doing this combination of styles.
Yeah.
As I started writing my own music, I was shocked, about this, like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Like this polka and then this classical kind of Rachmaninoff, twist, and I'm like, what is this? And
Yeah.
just really learning about myself,
Yeah.
about what's inside,
Yep.
and what drives me. That was very, very enlightening in the past 2 years, and I'm really on that way. And along with my just technical part, like playing my scales on saxophone, running my vocal
Yeah.
exercises, learning about that, listening to new artists. So that's been.
What studio do you use when you're recording your music? Where do you go record it?
I recorded most of my album in a studio in Lakewood. It's
Okay.
run by David Lang.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
a jazz studio.
Yeah.
He was also pretty surprised with me, like, with the tunes I brought
Yeah.
in, because I'm not his typical artist.
Yeah.
Because I recorded a couple of really funky R&B tunes. Like in the same song, we have R&B grooves, and then there's like a funky rockier groove, and he's like, oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
But I love it because everybody's so open
Yeah.
once you start pushing them. Into
Once you
that.
start pushing them and kind of getting them
Yeah.
out of their comfort zone a little bit and just wanting to adapt the current climate.
That's what art is all about.
That's what it's definitely all
Yeah.
about. All right, so we just played your new song, "Chance." Comes out May 12th. Where will people be able to hear it and purchase it and just kind of wrap their heads around this, Elena?
So first of all, on May 12th, we're gonna have a big party at Charles Smith
Okay.
Winery in Soto. It's a really cool place. I like the style and everything. I wanted to pick up that nice, clean, contemporary location.
Yep.
Where we'll have the single release and a music video.
Okay.
A very fun music video that we're wrapping up right now. So that's going to be a party that will feature some DJs. We'll also do like a set of with my band
Yeah.
and some DJ scratching to it. Then we'll have the release, so the first viewing of
Yeah.
the music video. And we'll have a silent auction where I'll feature some of the local talents, people that I picked, like their
Oh,
artwork.
cool.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm very excited. I'm always trying to bring in some talented people that I feel like need more recognition. And,
Yeah. Well, if you've got an extra ticket or an extra space on your guest list, don't forget
Yeah.
about the small people in your life that.
well, everybody's invited. It's
okay.
all on my website. Elena.
Everybody's invited?
Yeah.
What do they need to know? Are there prices for tickets or what?
Yeah. Yes, there's prices for tickets, but for
And there
that-
should be. There should be.
Yes.
I mean, there's an auction. There's video
And
performances,
also
music.
wine provided and hors d'oeuvres. So yes, I'm providing the people with some food and really good wine.
Good. And then what are the price of these tickets?
So online it's $25.
Okay.
At the door, if we have any spots left, it's going to be $35.
So it's probably a good idea to be buying them just to save the $10.
And a lot of the time, my shows get sold out. So
Good.
people should get on it.
Good. And give the name of that venue again for me.
Charles Smith Wines.
Charles Smith Wines. Okay.
Yeah, on Eventbrite, you can find the ticket link. It's going to
Okay.
be a Chance single release.
Great.
Yeah, Elena Mack. Or my website, my Instagram has links to it, my Facebook, so people can easily find it.
And let's talk about Soul Canvas. What's behind Soul Canvas?
So Soul Canvas, I launched that project a year ago with my friend drummer Devon Lewis. It was an idea to create a platform where all kinds of artists, not only musicians, dancers, painters, photographers, models, actors, bartenders that create their own drinks, chefs, would be able to showcase one of their original pieces. It's either a plate that chef created, or a painter working on some of his art. Dancers, we've been recording like for almost a year.
Okay.
And every month we post online a new episode with a new artist, completely different people that would never be on the same stage.
Sure.
But it was my kind of idea to widen up people's horizons, educate a little bit more. Some people that maybe even never heard about it.
Right.
And we really pick and choose talented people in Seattle, it has so many talented people. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's just creating that platform and also events that would feature them.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's going to grow, and we'll have maybe festivals and
Great.
to bring
Good.
Not just one style, not just one direction, but like really diverse things.
Good.
Like
Because I like how you're kind of in the business of giving back to the community ultimately.
Absolutely.
And I think that's good, because a lot of artists really are just so focused ultimately on their projected sound. And you really do want to give back. So if there's one artist, Elena, and this might be a tough question, but if there's one artist that you would love the opportunity to do a collaboration with, who would it be? If you could have any artist that you could work with.
Oh my God, it's a tough one. I would say, can I name two?
You can.
Because they're so different, but they're similar. Again, they're in a jazz world. Forgive me for that, but I would really love to play something together with Kenny Garrett.
Okay.
Not Kenny G. There's another Kenny Garrett, saxophone player that I really love, and he's influenced my music a lot. And from the newer stars and really kind of fresh and different, Esperanza Spalding. I really
cool.
I really love her
I
stuff.
wouldn't have guessed either one of those, but that's why I asked the question, so everybody can. What are some of your recommendations that you would recommend to an up and coming artist, Elena, that is ultimately trying to open up the pathway like you've created for yourself? What are those recommendations that you would apply from everything that you've learned from childhood till now, and everything that you've been able to take under your belt to be able to give those recommendations to an up and coming artist?
Probably really get to know themselves first, because that's very helpful when you really know your inner person. What's inside of you. What do you want to give to people? Because ultimately, I'm being asked a lot, Doug, do you write music, or do you play for people, or do you play for yourself? And I think the first thing an artist should do is do it for himself, because that's where you really talk to yourself. This is where you express your fears, sometimes things that you would not even ever speak out. Speak out, but you can write about it, you can paint about it. So really getting to know yourself, educating yourself about different styles, and not just being focused on one thing that you like, but really trying to learn more around it.
Great.
And then just going for it.
So up to this point, what's been your favorite song that you've attached your brand to ultimately? What's been that favorite song that you've either composed or performed? Is there one song, or are there multiple songs that you just?
No, there is no one song. There's never one song, because it's always changing.
Because some artists really do have that one song that they'll always go back and say, this was the record. This was the record that either paved the way forward or opened the right path, or this person heard it, and that's what got them to go from this platform to this platform. So I wanted to kind of know if it was that one song that you just kind of always think about that really was inspirational to you, that created a new alliance, whether it was a new connection or just a new pathway from being a professional artist.
I think that's still probably, it's not going to be a song, it's going to be an album by Miles Davis. It's called Kind of Blue. And that album probably affected me the most in my early years of getting into jazz and music overall professionally. Because I would listen to that record for day in and day out. Like I would watch a movie with really loud soundtrack, like in the movie theater, and I would still hear those lines and everything. And it's kind of how they did this record. It's probably one of my biggest influences.
So kind of switching now from music and talking about fashion right now. I mean, we both kind of live here in the Northwest. We both know the retail climate of what's available for us here. We broadcast here in downtown Bellevue, which is a big tech conglomerate part of the area, and we have a mall here called Bellevue Square, and then we have downtown Seattle. But that's all we really have. It's not like Madison Avenue in New York or Melrose or Santa Monica in Los Angeles or Paris. I mean, we have what we have. So with that being said. It must get frustrating. It must get frustrating to you when you want to go out shopping, whether you're going out on a weekend night or you're performing or whatever it is. It must kind of get frustrating ultimately that there's not that foundation properly built up for the style that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it is not easy for people like us.
So what do you do? What do you do? How do you kind of maneuver through those obstacles?
Well, I mean, I try to be creative with whatever we have in stock on the shelves, and unfortunately, I have to go online a lot and go abroad, and really.
And where are you shopping online? What websites are you doing? Like Essence or Luis Avi Aroma? Some of these kind of
Farfetch,
Matches Fashion, Mr. Porter.
Yes, Net-a-Porter.
Yep.
Matches Fashion. I mean, sometimes ASOS.
Yeah,
I like their kind of funkier, and they change that all the time. So sometimes you can get some cool stuff. But I feel like Seattle is kind of slowly but moving.
It is
in the right direction. Like I went to Nordstrom a couple days ago, and I was very surprised that they have like more of those funkier and.
For women, they do, not men. For women, they do. Yeah. I've been very disappointed
recently. Well, they
recently.
have some D-squared for men, and they don't have anything for women. So.
I didn't see that. Where, downtown or Bellevue?
Bellevue used to have.
Bellevue used to have, and then they actually switched it, and they sent it downtown, and then downtown did something with it. And when I was downtown, I didn't even see it anymore because they wanted to make new growth patterns for Mr. Completely and the different new brands that they were bringing in. So D Square kind of got the back seat ultimately, even though they know that it's their bread and butter. That denim is their bread and butter as a company.
I don't know. I know we're gonna sound like snobs here, but. I don't mind it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I do like New York style. I do like, even going to like Montreal or Vancouver just to see people.
I do too. I mean, I love going up to Vancouver for like a day trip overnight. And before we got Zara here, I would go with my buddies up to Vancouver, and that's where I would go. Or I'm from New York, and my sisters and everybody's. Back on the East Coast, and it would be fun to like go to the Zara flagship store, which is on Fifth Avenue there. And speaking of Zara, like what is your personal opinion in terms of how Zara has progressed in terms of they definitely have improved in a lot of ways, and then I've seen some ways that they could do better in my opinion. So
they used to. I feel like they used to do a little bit of more quality clothing before. A lot of it was made in Portugal or Spain.
Right.
Now it's rarely done there, and they used to use some silk materials and wool, not so much anymore. But for me, Zara, unfortunately, just doesn't fit my body type well.
Okay.
I feel like it's more for
skinnier.
Not curvy girls. Like if you have hips and
Sure.
waist, thin waist,
Sure.
it's you're gonna look kind of fat in it. So
I like the blazers. I like the men's blazers.
men's
they
stuff
fit,
is amazing.
They fit very well for the men's blazers. I just wish you see them like in other stores, other markets, like the real actual leather pieces.
Yeah.
And I wish I would see that more. But on kind of the flip side of the conversation, the arrangements in terms of the overall looks and products that they're bringing into either Bellevue or downtown Seattle is different. I mean, the stores definitely feel different. It's a different product.
Yes. I remember when I was in Barcelona, there was Zara on every corner. Like you
like
walk,
Starbucks here.
Like Starbucks here, and each Zara had some different stuff.
Yeah.
And our Seattle Zara was really far from that merchandise.
And then you came back here and you said, "Oh my gosh, I miss that so much."
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you do? I mean, it's like you can go shopping probably every 20 minutes and find something different.
Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like also like Seattle buyers, they kind of think that that I don't know what is it, like the chicken or the egg.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. I can tell you what it
Who
is.
dictates what?
Well, yeah, what it is on the if we're having a conversation about Nordstrom's in terms of the Nordstrom's buyers, they have a tendency to not want to get out of their comfort zone in terms of the comfort bubble. They know who their customer is.
Yeah.
They buy for their customer, but I'm sure you and I could relate to this, that there are more, the vibrant, fun pieces that should be on the floor.
You probably like Barney's.
I do and I don't. Like, there's been some days when I've been in there that I've seen pieces that I like, and then there's days that there's nothing that I would wear. I mean, ultimately. So
Yeah, but I feel like they're a little bit.
they're probably for designer locally here, they're leading the pack.
Yeah.
I wish Mario's would kind of step up a little bit, and some of these other boutiques in the area. I think they all need to kind of rise to the occasion here. But I always like talking about fashion. Are you familiar with the Dita brand, Dita Eyewear?
I'm not, but
Yeah, you're gonna have to get accustomed to Dita. Check out Dita.com. I met actually with their rep last night. He's a buddy of mine. His name is Matt, and he happened to be up in the area, and we had a great conversation. He showed me a lot of the new pieces in the new collection, and it's an iconic brand. I mean, they a lot of it's inspired from like the 1970s R&B
Yeah,
hip hop
okay.
Era, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and it's some just real next level stuff.
well,
like,
if you say that, I will check it out.
yeah, check it out, and let me know your thoughts and opinions. So we just recently played to kind of transition back here because our next in studio guests aren't here yet. So you'll continue to stay on the air with me unless you've got another interview or TV appearance to run out to, probably with your busy schedule. So we just played Chance earlier. It comes out May 12th for all your fans. But we
Yes.
played it here at Studio 110.live, and I love the record. People definitely have something to be excited about. You've got this great opportunity for people to come out. You're providing wine and hors d'oeuvres, and there'll be some videos being played, and there'll be an auction. What are some items that you can talk about that are going to be featured on this auction?
I've been working a lot, modeling a lot for a photographer that's local in Seattle, and I really loved his work. His shots of Seattle are just incredible.
Okay.
And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, do you want to show some of your art? And he's doing those nice prints, frames that people can actually put in their houses. So that's for one. And then I'm working with another artist who's going to do a really cool sculpture. He's kind of... I would compare him in a way with Andy Warhol and like all the
cool.
pop art.
Cool.
So it's going to be different. So those are the two I'll talk about right now.
Any fashion? Any fashion available for any like lines locally, or?
Working on it right now. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see about that. I did an event a while back at Do the Extraordinary. If you know, do you know it, on 6th and Olive? It's a
I've heard of it.
brand.
I've heard of it, but I've never been there.
It's a local brand, and I did like a social event there, a party with also DJ, my band playing, and some of their fashion pieces, some art. So that was pretty cool. So I would love to, communicate with some local designers that I like.
Yeah.
So
Especially because you're
Yeah.
you're relatable to it. Like, people can understand you. They'll kind of see your vibe. They'll know your style and everything. So this give me the details again on this event.
Yeah, it's going to be on May 12th. Doors open at 8 p.m.
Okay.
The tickets can be bought at
Okay.
eventbrite.com. All the info is on my Facebook, Instagram, Elena Mack, M-A-Q-U-E. And it's going to be at Charles Smith Winery.
Well, I want this thing to be sold out. So whatever I can do to help, I will do it.
Thank you.
I will put it on my social.
Absolutely.
I will show up. I will spread the word. I'll invite whoever I can get out there to show up to this event. But
And I feel like Seattle doesn't have too many events. That's what
They don't.
Yeah, because coming from Russia, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Europe, like every weekend we had some cool stuff happening. Like
Yeah.
even during the week,
Yeah.
people really went out, and all this fashion, art. You can find something going on all the time.
Sure,
Here, you
yeah.
really need to search and dig out like all those cooler things that rarely appear here
Yeah.
and there. So this party will be a nice one. So
Good.
with
Oh,
some surprises, and it's going to be just a great way for people to meet some new faces, to mingle, and like a nice social party.
Great.
And the music as well.
Good. What do you enjoy doing on your off time when you're not performing or writing music or in rehearsals or in the studio? What do you enjoy doing on your off time?
Spending time with my family.
Very nice.
Yeah, and then just doing some outdoorsy stuff. Skiing.
Oh, you like to ski?
Yes, I do.
Where do you go skiing?
Well, everywhere I can.
You go Whistler, Snoqualmie, Stevens?
Snoqualmie sometimes when I'm lazy, when I want something close.
Do you like to snowboard?
No.
No.
I like to ski.
You like to ski?
Yeah, I like to have control of my both feet.
Yeah. So does that mean in the summertime you're into like water sports too? Getting out on the lake on jet skis and boats and.
I like this stuff. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
good because
a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of this and that. Yes.
That's what you got to do. So that's cool. So when you're kind of on your off time, you like to apply kind of your private time to your family and be a devoted family member to your family. I think that's very important. You know the foundation, how where it all kind of revolves and goes back to ultimately.
Yes.
What's a good way for your fans? Is there a way that your fans can connect with you? If they want to reach out to you and ask you questions, is there social media?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's give out your social media.
So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find me on those platforms. Elena Mack, ELENA
Okay.
Elena Mack, just one word or two words. I'm trying to keep up with it and post stuff all the time.
Good.
So, and I'm trying to be responsive. So if anybody has a question,
That's a good way. So it's good to know because some artists sometimes they don't give out their social media and I've never been able to figure out
I never post anything that I don't want people to know. So if it's private to me, I don't post it. That's simple for me.
Yeah,
then I don't get offended or don't get frustrated. I just don't put out things that I don't want to be posted.
There you go.
Also, I teach saxophone, so I have a lot of students. If anybody is interested in
what do you
lessons.
teach? Yeah, what do you
saxophone.
Where?
Yeah.
Where do you teach?
I teach they're like a studio in Seattle. That I rent, and then some people come to my house. It depends on the location. So I usually figure it out with my students.
And then people can connect with you on social media about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. I didn't know that. You learn new things every day. So now you're a teacher too. One more thing to add to the bucket list.
Yes, I do. That.
Well, it's been a great opportunity to have you in the studio with me this afternoon, and definitely want you to come in more often. We can continue to play this song because it's well deserved to be played on the air for all your fans to hear. It's called Chance. Comes out May 12th. You can follow Elena Mack. Mack got it right for the 52nd time. You can follow her on her Instagram and see what she's got going on. She's got some great events coming up, and like we say, we're all about supporting artists here at Studio 110 Live, because if we're not in the business here, and as the host of the show, if I'm not in the business of supporting artists, there's not a lot of ways for artists to be heard. And I think it's extremely important to play this music on the air and to do great interviews like we did this afternoon, Elena. And
I would like to thank you as well for opening your doors for that, because the style is not the hip hop or R&B. It's a different thing, and you're open to it. Like unlike some of the other radio stations. So
well, I mean, I don't even listen to the radio in my car anymore. So it's all about live podcast shows because no one wants to listen to commercial breaks and tight playlists. So I appreciate you bringing that up because you can always know that my door is always welcome here to you.
Thank
you can always come in. I will continue to play Chance like I did earlier today on my show, and I want to hear the album. Let's do kind of an album preview next time you come in, and I'd like to come to this event. I think it'll be a great event for the community to come out to and really get to know Elena and your sound and your vibe and everything that kind of connects with you. So
thank you very much.
And feel free to hang out with us here in the studio. If you have to go, I totally understand. My buddy here from Shante, my buddy here from Sneaker Wars has made his way into the studio, looking flyer than ever. Always got that style, dapper from head to toe. Got the camo going. So I'm going to put you right here if you don't mind, and we'll make sure cell phone ringers are down, and slap on the headphones there, and let's get this kicked off. So last time I saw you, we were talking the shoe game. And that was at good old South Center Mall. That was at your store down there. And I'm trying to remember the exact name of the shoe. I think I remember the shoe. We were talking about the old Charles Barkley 180s, the red, white, and black ones that I really wanted to get my hands on. And I knew that if anybody in this city could locate those shoes for me, it would be Shante here. So,
how you doing?
I'm doing good. If you can come a little closer to the mic so everybody can hear you properly.
All right.
There you go. So welcome here to my show here at Studio 110.live. And you and I both know, I mean, in order to have kind of the proper conversation here, you got to be a sneakerhead.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be a sneakerhead. You got to have the shoes. You got to have the feel-good shoes. You got to know how to match the shoes up with the proper outfits. You got to be able to kind of put aside the club shoes, the going out shoes, the performing shoes. So I know you'll be able to relate to this conversation quite well for me this afternoon.
Yes,
so let's get caught up to speed here. Studio 110.live, Dirty Harry in the hot seat. I just Elena Mack here is still hanging out with me.
Yes.
Shante, if you want to meet Elena is a very talented artist.
Nice to meet you.
Also got my buddy Ryan Conley. Ryan, if you want to. Also, this is Ryan Conley here. He's the main sponsor of my show with FutureNet. You can get all the information on FutureNet at futurenet.club. Welcome to the big show today, Ryan. Thanks for coming in. So, Shante, let's get this kicked off. You built up a foundation and a brand for yourself. You're a well-respected guy here in the community. A lot of people know that they can reach out to you if they need assistance. Look. People need, tutorial help for schooling.
Yeah.
People need, fashion help. Elena and I were talking about this afternoon. Elena and I have a favorite brand called D Squared. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Oh, yeah.
And now there's 3 people that can relate to D Squared. See, Elena?
Nice.
Yeah. So, it's good when you can relate to something. So where do you feel kind of currently with the options that we have here in the Pacific Northwest? Where's the shoe brand at now? And where does the shoe brand need to ultimately evolve to be able to be like a contender, like the stores on 120th and Broadway in New York City and Melrose and Santa Monica?
Man, the shoe brand now, it's cool. It's climbing. A lot of boutiques are popping up.
If you can come a little closer to the mic.
A lot of boutiques are popping up all over the place. I know we got a few on Capitol Hill. I know Bates came to Seattle. I think we got Likelihood and a few others.
35th North, Tony that owns that store.
Yep.
He'll be on the show in a couple weeks.
Okay, and I think we still got Northwest Throwbacks too. They're still on Capitol Hill too.
Yeah. I don't know if they have a lot. They have a couple select shoes in there.
Yeah.
They have a couple select shoes.
Oh yeah. But it's more of the boutique and more of the online than going to the mall now. It's all about the exclusivity. And having that limited edition stuff going.
Because it's frustrating. Because I'm always on my I'm on social media a lot, and I follow kind of a lot of different shoe brands. And I see every day they're putting out these just iconic, really cool, Jordan 1 models. There's a new one coming out. It's like bright silver with a little red and white on it. I'll show you when we get off the air.
Oh, them satins. I know what you did. Satins is coming out.
Yeah. And, there probably won't be a lot of outlets locally to be able, Nike Town probably won't get these, some of the Nike Towns in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles will get them.
Yeah.
But, it's frustrating just, knowing that, the drive is here, the customer base is here, the people that actually want to go out and get these shoes is here, but we still have to jump through those hoops. We still have to kind of, migrate and maneuver through the pathway to be able to get these shoes.
Yes, it's all apps now. So, you got the Sneakers app, and now Foot Locker has their app, and, to get those limited shoes now, you got to, it's a sneaker war. You got to, know who you know in different states, or you got to know the certain app and create accounts. So it's a different day. It's different than when we was growing up having to stand in line at Nike Town and wait for the shoe. So
and you still see it too. I for several times, even in H&M too across the street, people will camp out, sleep on the sidewalk for 3 days to just go get either a jacket or a pair of shoes. And I want to take it upon myself to go get them some frickin' hot chocolate or run up to my house and bring them down, a piece of salmon or some donuts or something. Because, these shoes are so important to these people. I'll never get to that level. I'll never get to the level. You'll never see Dirty Harry sleeping on 6th and Pine waiting for a shoe. You'll never see it.
Not one?
You'll never see it. I don't care if it's like a 24 karat gold shoe. I won't do it. I won't do it. I'm too my values and my inner core system is too high to be able to bring myself down to a level to sleep on a sidewalk and put myself through the danger over a pair of shoes.
But it's different. With the sneaker culture, man, it's more of a party. It's more of it's like a small get together, depending on the shoe release. You know what I'm saying? I've been down there a few times, not of late, but you know, you see old friends and people who are in the game, and then you know, for me, I like it because the younger kids get to see the grind and the hustle that we went through to collect as much as we was collecting back then. I think before I started the brand, I was up to 1,000 pair of shoes, man.
I was just going to ask you, how many pairs of shoes right now do you own?
Right now, ooh, yeah, I say we're around like 1,800. You know, maybe in and out. I sell a lot.
And do you have like a security guard at the house guard the door, or is there an alarm system on?
I got a few locations now because I did have a little bit of trouble that came my way. I lost about 150,000.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Stuff got hit, but you know, like you got to have a few.
But you know what? You pick up where you left off. You just you just pick it up and
keep grinding.
And you know, like I said, a lot of these things.
Do you wear it though?
Yes, you know. So the rule in the sneaker world is you got to have one to rock and one to stock. So definitely, I have to put a pair on.
So I definitely need to ask you this, Elena. How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I never counted, and I know that half of it is like hidden under my other stuff, and great shoes, designer shoes. But I'm like, yeah, your game is really on. I need to step up.
Are you into like the Louboutins? You know, what girl doesn't want the red bottoms? I mean,
no.
You're not into the red bottoms?
No.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, I have some. I've been trying to sell them for a while.
So you're trying to kind of.
You know, the unfortunate truth about Louboutins, like people.
I didn't know people call them Louboutins.
Louboutins, yeah. Louboutins, whatever. They're uncomfortable. And to me, like, they should be comfortable. Like, designer shoes, no matter, like, what kind of brand, they should look cool and they should be wearable. And I'm from Russia. Like, we throw out garbage in our heels, right? So
okay.
I know how to wear the heels. And those are not comfortable.
Yeah. Do you have any of the men's versions of the Louboutins? Or?
You know, I'm a different kind of cat, man. I only got two, and one pair of Gucci's. That's it.
There you go. Well, you know, look, you got the foundation, you got the footsteps. You know what what you feel comfortable rocking. That's what it is. When you wake up in the morning, I preach this all the time. It's like constructing a piece of art. You know, when you get dressed in the morning, what feels good? Like, you know, when I woke up this morning and I was going through my closet, I said, you know what, I'm going to put this striped sweatshirt on. That's just what I was in the mood to do, you know, and you know, I mean, you know, it's still evolving in the business where, you know, you match the shoes to either the hat, or you want to have kind of that, you know, coincided look ultimately to look proper when you step out. What is your next in terms of what you're excited about ultimately, in terms of what release coming up are you all about, if you had to just kind of narrow it down to one?
Ooh. You know what? I've been a Carmelo Anthony fan for a long time. And they're getting ready to come out with the commemorative Syracuse championship run that he did.
Nice.
The Jordan 9. I can't wait.
When are those coming out?
April. I think it's April 29th. Those come out.
There you go.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this story, and I wasn't going to bring it up today, but since we're talking shoes as a collective effort here, I was doing an appearance at my former radio station a number of years ago, and I'm on the mic, and this guy comes up and he taps my shoulder and says, "Hey man, I like the shoes you're wearing." So I started talking to him, and he was pretty low key, and he just, you know, he was just kind of, I could tell he wasn't from here. I could tell, like, he just, you know, he liked the shoes, and that's what kind of kicked off the conversation. Well, to fast forward a number of weeks and months, we kept in contact, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about him. And he told me who he was when we met, but it's a gentleman by the name of Reggie, and Reggie is the international marketing director for the Jordan brand. What? So we met at this appearance, and we hit it off. I mean, you know, he saw kind of the style. I was hosting an appearance, and we exchanged contact information, and to this day we still keep in contact. And he's definitely one of the most respectful, you know, respected people in the shoe game. And I don't like to ask for things.
Yeah.
But he's the type of guy that he'll just send boxes of product. So like I'll come home and there'll be boxes on my doorstep of you know, suits and shoes and you name it. He sent me this Jordan wool kind of Letterman's jacket with these bright leather sleeves. And I wear it in the wintertime sometimes, and people always ask me, where did you get that? And I said, well, You know, a buddy of mine from the Jordan brand sent it to me. So I figured if anybody could, you know, relate to a story like this, and I know you have a lot of those same types of connections.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can. Yep. All right. So let's talk about sneaker culture as a whole here in terms of past, present, future. Trials within the culture, where you feel it needs to go, and kind of your obstacles that you see within brand awareness today. Ultimately,
you know, the sneaker culture, it's growing. I think everybody's a sneakerhead. You know, you might find your dentist or your doctor, you know, got a pair of J's. You might walk in the office and see them wearing some Jordans instead of, you know, the old school leather PF, I don't know what the little shoes we used to wear back in the day, the little penny loafers, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, my son's into it, you know, my wife's into it, and, you know, I think Ellen's a big sneakerhead, so, you know, it's a vast thing, and I've always liked it because of the colors. You know, when I was growing up, I think I started when I was 12, so, you know, just seeing all the different bright colors and things like that drew me to it. And, you know, the future, everything's digital with it now. You know, you know, how to get the shoes, and, you know, with Instagram and Snapchat, you know, everybody's like in the now moment. So, you know, to have the hottest and the most exclusive thing now is what's in.
Yep. And what do you feel like, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, but what will it take for us to evolve here in the community, whether we're talking Bellevue or Seattle or, you know, Tacoma or even up Everett, in terms of us to be more of a contender? I mean, I think it's just the proper buying placement for these people to take, you know, the right risks and initiatives to knowing what the customer wants and not hearing no. I mean, taking those no's and translating them into yeses, so, you know, the clientele can not necessarily have to shop and wait. Who wants to wait, you know, several days to get a pair of shoes? You want a kind of that instantaneous, you know, gratification where you get something you want to wear, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's happening. I think, you know, Seattle was slept on for a long time, and we're starting to get, you know, I think Soul Collector did a Gary Payton edition. You know, I think we had a Seattle 6 with Jordan Brand, the Seattle 6 Low. So people are starting to pay attention, you know, with more people in entertainment, you know, being here, and, you know, more people coming here, and Seattle just growing. Washington as a whole growing. I think it'll get there.
There you go. Let's talk about some major influences in fashion and how fashion kind of ultimately translates to the sneaker game. Here on my show prep sheet that my producer gave to me, I see the iconic name Tony Shellman. Tony Shellman and I have been friends for many, many, many years. So Tony Shellman. Tony Shellman's the guy. He's the guy behind, you know, Mecca and Nietzsche and Parrish. And last time I talked to him, he was actually working on T.I.'s new deal.
Yeah, I think Aku. Yeah. So Tony, you know, watching Tony, you know, as a kid, I think when Mecca came out, I was in middle school. I was Washington Middle School. And I saw that, and then, you know, he moved on to Nietzsche when I think I was like 11, 12 when he started that. And, you know, between him and another friend from Seattle, Roman Bland, with ex-Conwear, it was just, you know, their grind and their hustle just pushed me towards, you know, the fashion side of things. And then I ended up, you know, doing the fashion and then also incorporating the shoes, which, you know, those two things go together.
They do, and they'll always go together too. And I always admire when I see, you know, pictures on social and I see artists coming to town. I always kind of like to know, you know, what if they're representing Seattle to a degree, or if they're bringing Seattle in from another market, because you kind of see both translations ultimately.
Oh, yeah.
What on the fashion tip? What are some clothing brands? I know we've been talking a lot about, you know, sneaker brands, footwear, but when we kind of translate the conversation now more into fashion, what are some fashion brands that you're liking, that you're seeing, and some brands that maybe are emerging in the trade shows, like the Magic Show in Vegas, that we may see up here at retail?
Okay, well, you know, Supreme is always a one that everybody likes, and I've never been one to chase the hype. I do like what Virgil's doing with the Off-White. He got some pieces over there. Locally. And
I like what Supreme did too. You know, that pop-up shop that they did in Los Angeles. I'm sure you saw the Monogram classic red leather jacket. That thing sold out in like 2 minutes. I mean,
the brick killed me. I couldn't believe the brick was selling for so much. But you know, it's being innovative and creative.
And it was a brilliant, iconic move for the brand Supreme to align themselves with Louis Vuitton to do that collaboration, because you don't see that often.
No, you don't.
You don't see those types of brands, you know, connecting up. And I'm sure you can agree and attest to that too. You don't see see that often. So
no, you don't.
Whatever they did on the back end to align that deal and get that out to do that pop-up shop was.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen anything like that in a while. So.
Oh yeah.
Any inspirations for you? I mean, I know you had you had a setup down there. Is that still in place?
No. South Center with the whole brick and mortar stuff. I'm looking to do something different, more of a boutique. I'm actually looking for either something in the UW area or Capitol Hill area.
Capitol Hill would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think competition can be a good thing. You got 35th North up there. You got Bait. You got is Alive and Well still in business?
Yeah,
Alive and Well.
Yeah.
So I think if you kind of came in, you would have your own kind of inner core footprint. You'd have the brands, and you would have the kind of the exclusive partnerships with these brands to be able to provide these types of product for the customers. I mean, you'd see me up there.
Come on.
We'd be getting some DJs up there. I'd broadcast my show from there. I mean, we'd really turn it up. Especially on that Pike Pine corridor. You know how many people are walking around there on a spring summer day. Let's talk about giving back to the community. I mean, you've always been about it. From the projects to the charities, donations, partnerships. What are some that you're currently teaming up with? And let's kind of pick up on that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I teamed up with Jalea Tibbs right here.
Okay.
With the United Negro College Fund.
Welcome to my show.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
And so I created a design. Me and a partner of mine, Edit Junkie, and we did the all the colleges on a T-shirt, and it was African face silhouette. And so a lot of kids right now are on the college tour, and they're wearing the shirts, and we're going to donate a portion of the proceeds back to the United Negro College Fund.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And what's the next? Is there an event coming up that my listeners and people can come out and support and be about, or an address, an IG page? I mean, where can people get more information?
At Sneaker Wars, and that's Sneaker Wars with a Z.
Okay.
You can definitely follow me on there. Twitter is at @sneaker_wars. And getting ready to do a lot of pop-ups coming up soon. So pay attention to the page, and we'll be definitely getting you guys more information on that stuff.
Well, I think it'd be fun too. I'm all about giveaways. I think rewarding listeners and doing like some maybe some on-air live fashion shows.
Yeah.
Where we can get some models in here and we get them here by the FutureNet logo and tie it all in properly, because that's what we're about here. We're about the fashion scene and the music scene and the nightlife scene and the tech scene, and that's how I wanted to design my show, where it's a collective effort, where everybody is can have that proper placement to come in and talk about what they want to talk about. So let's kind of talk about that off there and put that together. When we talk about designs, ultimately, what makes your brand different from kind of the quote unquote competition that's out in the marketplace right now?
Yeah, right now it's everybody's into a lot of the hype. It's the color of the season, or it's the it's the pattern, and a lot of the things that I like to design is the things that make you think.
Yeah.
Like right now I have a shirt that's called Big Brother, and you see what Facebook's going through right now. So it correlates. And I have another design, the Stop the Violence design, which is a real cool design. You can see on the Instagram. So, and I have another one, Birthright is Greater Than Racism. So I really try to jog the mind more than just have the most popular color on. So when you see it, the shirt has a message to it. There
you go. And speaking of fashion, Elena, you got your fall, winter, spring, summer. You got multiple deliveries built in to each one of these cycles. I mean, when you're what's been your kind of favorite time of the year for you to go shopping? And I can see you wore the biker leather jacket, which I really like, from All Saints. They do some iconic zipper placements and their linings. Yeah. They just do some really good quality leather jackets.
Yes. So. Well, usually it's the change of the seasons, where you want to change things up, bring some freshness. Actually, I wanted to ask you, do you guys ever collaborate with artists? Because as I was filming my music video, I noticed, I was trying to reach out to some local designers, and a lot of them are like, I'm not sure if I want to do it. And to me, it was kind of shocking, because coming from Europe or, Russia, designers, local people would always be like, hey, how about I just put my stuff on you, and you just, I would love to give the credit and talk about the brand.
Sure.
But I didn't see as much collaboration here. It feels like, I don't know if you...
Yeah, you can hit me anytime.
But you know what I mean, right? So it's amazing that you're open, not to just celebrities, that are like big people, but local people that are, celebrities in this community, this particular city, and let us just all support each other.
And then, Elena, why don't you tell Shante and Ryan Conley here about your event coming up, too? I'm going to see if we can get them out here, too, to come out and support your event.
Yeah,
Tell them.
May 12th, I'm releasing my music video and my single on online, and it's going to be a party that's going to feature some DJs, my band playing, some art and auction with local artists presenting their work, hors d'oeuvres, wine. So it's going to be a really nice, posh party.
I'm there.
Charles Smith Winery at 8 p.m. May 12th. It's a Saturday.
Well, we'll see if we can get our whole Studio 110.live crew out there and some of our special guests and make it a proper field trip to come out and support you, Elena, at your upcoming event. That's what we do here. That's what we definitely do here on the show. So thank you for bringing that on, and hopefully I'll get another opportunity before the end of the show here to play your song again. But if not, it's in my library now, so I can play it whenever I want on the air. And if you're not able to come in, we'll get you on the phone so I can talk to you on the air. Shante, in terms of music, what are you listening to right now? What are you a fan of right now in terms of what's currently right now on the playlist for what we can ultimately wrap our hands around, right?
Okay. Right now, the Nipsey Hussle.
Yep.
Definitely the Black Panther soundtrack with SZA and Kendrick. All the Stars Are Closer. That joint's nice.
What was that song that Nipsey did with Snoop Dogg? That happened to be my favorite Nipsey song that he did with Snoop Dogg. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a good vibing record. It was a good sound.
It escapes me right now.
No problem.
Yeah. But that, and then I got a partner, Brainstorm, locally. Brainstorm and Dime Def. They got some good music coming.
Yeah, we got a lot of great music, here with Elena. True testament to what's going on here musically. And I know my producer told me you're introduce yourself here real quick. This is a busy show today, so
sure. Yeah, Chris Kenji Beer with Koto Jazz.
Great, and you're a jazz artist.
That's correct.
Okay, she just gave me your information here a little while ago. So what do you? Do you have a performance or something coming up that my listeners can come and support you at?
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, I have a couple. If you're ready to go to Cannon Beach, Oregon, I have a couple down there with the Arts Festival down there.
Okay.
And they have 23. It's a small town of 1,000 and has 24 art galleries down there.
Great.
And I'm being featured there. And then, of course, the Northwest Folklife end of May.
Great.
And a Japan Fair this summer at the Maidenbauer Center right near here.
Yeah.
Right next door.
Well, welcome to the show, Studio 110.live, Dirty Hair. I got a busy show today. My buddy Ryan Conley. I got Shante here from Sneaker Wars, my friend Elena here, and of course you. And if you can just reintroduce yourself again and just kind of give a little background on you and kind of get me up to speed here on in terms of, I know you talked about some of your upcoming shows, but what you're currently working on in addition to these shows.
Sure. So I have kind of a unique style of music. I call it Koto Jazz. I came up with the idea. I grew up with a Japanese mother, and name is Chris Kenji Beer. My mom's given name, Kenji.
Okay.
And Koto Jazz is kind of takes the style and rhythm of traditional Japanese classical music.
Okay.
And then I rev it up with some Western influences of jazz rhythm and speed. I mean, it's a lot faster than the traditional classics.
So you kind of put your own ingredients into the overall kind of sound and vibe and feel of your records.
That's correct. Very rhythmic and nature-inspired jazz. I look at it as progressive electronic. A lot of people categorize me as that. So,
how long have you been an artist for?
I've been doing this since I was a kid.
Okay, similar to Elena, you really got your when you were 8 years old, you started playing your favorite instrument back then, correct? In your home country of Russia.
Not quite.
Well, it says 8 years old here.
Piano. But then saxophone a little later. But yeah, music.
But you were 8 years old.
Yeah, but when music hits you, it's you just can't run from it.
Yeah, you can't escape it.
Very true.
So you've always been accustomed to this. You've always known that this was your inner path. This was the way you wanted to build up your foundation moving forward. And how many albums have you put out so far?
3.
3?
Yep, I've got 3, and they're on iTunes, Amazon Music, and all the other Spotify, etc.
What frustrates you, as an artist right now in the genre and the platform that you've built up for yourself? when you kind of look at either the competition or you're hearing other artists kind of debut their music or debut their stage presence or their overall vibe and sound? What are some things that frustrate you?
Well, a little bit of frustration comes from just the lack of familiarity with different styles of jazz.
Okay.
I think a lot of people really like the New Orleans, jazz, and that's it. And there's a lot of alternative jazz out there. So there's chaos jazz. I kind of go into chaos jazz a little bit. So there's just a variety of styles, and a lot of the alternative stuff is where the creativity happens. I'm most inspired by a local guy you probably know, Wayne Horvitz.
I know the name. Yep.
Yeah, Royal Room. And he plays with the symphony, Seattle Symphony. He's the guy that really inspired me. And I know, I've had the opportunity to get to know him. I played at the Royal Room many times. He's given me that opportunity, and his eclectic style is just out of this world. And I just try to emulate that as much as possible.
So I wanted to, that kind of leads me into my next question, just in terms of role models. Like in addition to this gentleman that you just talked about, who are some of your other role models that, and in addition to your role models, but if you could kind of do a collaboration on the jazz side of the music kind of culture and where the music business is heading on the jazz side, who would be that one artist that you would like to be able to do a song with or be able to perform with?
Yeah, it would either be him or a person by the name, and this is kind of he's more of a new age style of jazz, you're probably familiar with George Winston. He's very well known, and I like some of his creative stuff that probably are less familiar.
Right.
He has a very popular December album
Yep.
that just shot through the roof, and since then he's done a lot of more off the beaten path style of jazz music, and I like that. That's the kind that I like.
What are there some social media avenues that the listeners and the fan base can reach out to you if they have a question, that if they're a jazz fan that they want to learn more about you or your upcoming shows?
Sure, yeah, it's all on kotojazz.com.
Okay.
So I have my performances coming up. I have some sample music.
Okay.
Stuff that I've even written just in the last couple weeks. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next time you come in, we'll play maybe one of your songs. I played Elena's song earlier today on the show, and I really like it. It's called Chance, and it comes out May 12th. And Elena gave me the opportunity to have the world premiere here on my show before anybody else could hear it. So that's the business that I'm in here with my new show, to be able to have these artists come in and see everything that we're doing here at Studio 110.Live's headquarters with FutureNet and all the things that we're building up here. So we're definitely not your average show around here, and we're about to become. We're already the talk of the town, but we're about to bring that up a couple notches, because we're about to make a big announcement here about a big event coming up that my crew in California has alerted me earlier before I went on the air today. So you may even benefit from this. Just knowing you for the 10 minutes that I've known you, it might be something that you'll want to be able to put on your social media to share with your listening audience as well. So don't go anywhere. If you can stick around, we'll continue the conversation. It's a busy show today, so I don't want to leave anyone out. But I do want to go back to my buddy Shanta here. So. Progressing here, moving, from the conversation on the fashion tip and on the footwear side of the conversation. I know you're a big football fan.
Oh yeah.
You're a big football fan, and I wanted to kind of get your take in terms of, if you're not about it, you've been sleeping under a rock. But what are your thoughts in terms of what the Seahawks organization has done recently with the squad? Sending Sherman down to the rivalry opposing team. It's gonna be tough for a lot of people to see him in a gold and red jersey.
It's gonna be different. I think it was time. More than anything, I think it was time after the Super Bowl mistake of not giving Lynch the ball. I think that held a heavy weight with the whole team.
Yeah.
And I think Sherman, he with the injury bug hitting the team how it did, I just think it was time before, Seattle couldn't get anything for him.
So,
you might as well.
And it was tough to see him, on the crutches on the sidelines too, just an injured guy. And when you're injured, is not much you can bring to the table ultimately.
No.
So I think John Schneider and Pete and the organization just said, I think the only thing that kind of surprised me about that deal was he went, he represents himself.
Mm-hmm.
And, when San Francisco came up with that, that contract, 3 years up to $39 million, up to, there's incentives there, obviously.
Yeah.
But he went back to his team and, do you want to match it and all that? And I think from what I've heard from sources that I have, in these camps, I think they regret it to a degree because they'll see his performance on the field. And they know darn well that San Francisco comes here and we go down there. I mean, it's nothing to hide behind the curtain about. I mean,
No.
it's going to happen. We're going to see him.
It's going to be interesting because he knows a lot.
Yeah.
He knows a whole lot. And
Yeah.
There's only so much you could change, especially we still have the same quarterback. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But
Let's talk about what's coming up in the future for Sneaker Wars. What event-wise and platform-wise, and just special things that we can talk about.
Event-wise, like I said, get ready. We're going to be doing a few pop-ups around Seattle, and I'm going to be doing pop-ups abroad. I got a few projects I'm working with. I just got Safari, one of the hottest guys in the game right now.
Yep.
He wore a few of my clothing items, and he wore a custom shoe that we did for him. It was a Supreme Hype Beast 4. And then JoJo Simmons, Russell Simmons' nephew,
Yep.
He wore a couple pieces on his new show, Growing Up Hip Hop.
Yep.
So that's getting ready to premiere here. So you'll see a few pieces on that show. And I'm getting ready to go to New York. I'm going to do a photo shoot with one of the new members of Power. Season 5 coming up.
Cool.
Francisco Burgos.
Yep.
So you'll be on the lookout for that. And then, I'll be home, I'll be abroad. So, pay attention to my Instagram and Snapchat because you'll see a lot.
Well, I might tell my show producer to have you on the line with me when you're abroad to kind of check in with me to what's going on in New York and these other markets. And maybe we can even talk about doing a collaboration together.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I can definitely relate to a lot of things here. I mean, it's not like I'm not a shoe guy. I mean, normally I wouldn't even do this, and you haven't even seen what shoes I'm wearing today. And I got these on today, so these are about as old school as it gets,
Come on.
And I do the old school thing where I get the toothbrush out every night too with the hot water.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I scrub them down because
True
it's
sneakerhead right there.
there you go.
I'm
So
saying.
it would be illogical to not do a collaboration, a Sneaker Wars Dirty Harry collaboration. I mean, I think we definitely need to do it.
We got to.
Let's do it. Let's set that up, and we can debut it here at Studio 110.live's headquarters,
Yes,
and
indeed.
we can do it on the air. And I think it would be a good foundation. I mean, you could come out, Elena, and give your
I love sneakers.
give your take, and who knows? Maybe you'll do a collaboration.
Yeah.
Elena Mack and Sneaker Wars here.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I can't wait. I got a young girl. I think everybody heard the story on CNN. Back down bully. She was being bullied at the school out here in Bellevue.
Yep.
Well, she just went to a convention in California, and I helped print the T-shirts for her. And she's getting ready to do a special with Paul Abdul, so I'm gonna do a
Nice.
custom shoe for
Yeah,
her too.
yeah.
So I'm always open. Give me the idea, we can put it together.
And speaking of like the whole bullying campaign, that affects a lot of people. I mean,
Yes.
on a real serious step now. I mean, that's something that I'm planning on talking about, and I want to have the proper people on the air with me, who can really report to me what's going on. In the inner schools, in the inner communities, it's definitely an issue that's on the rise, and no one should ever go to school and be bullied and be mistreated, be disrespected, and that needs to come to an end. Seriously, that there's absolutely zero tolerance for that, and I'm surprised that I don't see more awareness in terms of more people. Other celebrities, coming out and just taking it upon themselves to, do these 25 to 30 second, viral Instagram videos where they just kind of, either it's in a personal experience from them, or something that they can relate to from a family member or a neighbor where they can really adapt to it, you know. And I want to see more of that. I want to do it. I want to take it upon myself, and I am going to do it.
No,
so.
I'll definitely let you know what we have coming up with the whole Back Down Bully situation.
Yeah, and it'd be good too to maybe get some guests that have been affected by it too that I could interview.
Oh yeah.
That we could really talk about, and I think that would it would allow people to really get a true testimonial of what, you know, how affected people really are about this. So
Gotcha.
There you go. So don't go anywhere. I want to transition back to you here. So jazz is really kind of is your beast. Jazz is kind of your music genre of what you ultimately represent, and you're not a rookie here. You've got a couple albums out. You've got a couple shows coming up. We touched on the shows earlier. What's the next local show that my listeners and the fans can come out and support you at?
Sure, I would say the Folklife Festival.
Okay, that's a big one.
It's a big one,
Yeah.
and you know, the whole weekend there's so much to offer, and I'm part of the Japan programs, so it'll be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they also have taiko drum. Even everybody loves taiko drums,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And then my Koto Jazz, and then a number of other performers.
Great.
So it'll be exciting.
And refresh my memory. What are the dates? It's a weekend, correct?
Yeah. End of May.
of May,
May
okay.
26th, 27th.
And that's at Seattle Center.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I've been to it. It's been a while since I've been to it, but I know that it attracts a large following. A lot of
Yep.
people come out, and it's
A lot
good
of fun.
because it's a good opportunity for people to come out. Your recommendations and thoughts on, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, but just as we get a little deeper and progress here a little bit more on the correct thought process for an up and coming artist that wants to continue to align themselves within the jazz community under the jazz, you know, umbrella. Your thoughts that you would recommend to them to either get a single out or work on an album, or
Sure.
be able to perfect that to ultimately to a stage performance.
Yeah, I think, first of all, practice, constant practice, and continuous practice, working with anything that you're weak at, work hardest at that.
Yeah.
And because everybody has a weakness, right?
Yeah.
And then really big is just get your name out there and perform everywhere you can go. And even if it's a coffee house open mic, go to those. And the other I think piece is that carve out your own. You know,
There you go.
Your passion is really what drives your playing. And I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but if you don't love deeply what you do, and you know, being half Japanese like I am, my brain's chaotic, and unless I'm playing, I don't feel at peace.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, and
Yeah.
and so it's a place for peace for me, and the reason is because I'm able to incorporate both this Japanese heritage with this Western jazz, you know, style, and I feel very much at home with that, and I think all young people aspiring to be musicians have that. They have this. They need to find out who they are,
Yep.
you know, identify with what their gift is, but
And
also
what their inner
what drives
foundation
them.
is, what
Yeah.
drives them, what their inner
Right.
foundation is,
Their
and really
passion.
who they're about. And like you said, I mean, you know, you perfect the craft.
Yeah, what is your passion?
What-
and
what-
then
yeah.
and then stick with. Don't give up.
Yeah,
Don't
stick-
give up.
yeah.
Always practice.
There you go.
Practice,
Because that's what I used to always preach, and I used to tell a lot of people when I went out to schools and like the local area high schools here where I would go out and speak, and people would ask like, you know, to become a radio host and to become a radio host who's been on the radio for 20 years here in the Seattle market, I'm still perfecting my craft.
Yeah.
I'm still, you know, I'm still at the house the night before my show, studying my show prep and preparing for my interviews, because that's ultimately what you need to do. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and if you don't do that, then you don't really have much. So you've got to continue to build that awareness up and that vibe and that sound. And I wish you all the best, man. You know, feel free.
Hey, thank you.
Feel
Yeah.
free to come back in again, and maybe next time you come in, we can play one of your songs on the air.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'll tell Erica, my show producer, to get that arranged. And please share your experience today on your social for us.
Sure will. Absolutely.
Studio 110.live and of course FutureNet.club if you want to if you can get that up there, and Erica will fill you in on everything. But I do have a busy show, and I want to make room for all my guests today. So Erica, you're in good hands with Erica, and thank you again for coming by today.
Thanks for having me.
But thank you, and all the best to you for Folklife Festival and all the shows coming up.
Okay.
Thank you very much. BD, I want to get you, my guy here in this chair right here. Thanks for coming in, BD, and we'll carry on with the show. It's been a music fashion show today, so that's kind of been the collective effort of the show to talk about music and different genres of music, and of course the footwear game and fashion, everything as a collective effort. So I met you. I had the opportunity to meet you. Was it last week?
Yeah, last week.
Last week down here, and that was during the big old cannabis show that we had. We had a couple big players here in the studio from the cannabis scene, and shout out to Alejandro from Diego and Amber Joy and everybody that we're working with here at Studio 110.live and FutureNet.club. You'll be quite surprised to hear all the things that we've got coming up here. We've got some big things in the works, but we'll continue to talk about that on the show. So BD Miguel, I got BD Miguel in here in the studio with me, a well-respected local artist who's created a lot of alliances, proper alliances here within the footprint of this area, and it's like I said, man, it's a pleasure to have you in. Next time you come in, I want to play some music on the show because I did my research, and you definitely have a cool vibe and sound around you, man. You definitely, I can tell that you're constantly perfecting your craft and getting in the studio and working out. You just were, I think we just talked, and you were just in Los Angeles, or you just flew out to Los Angeles?
Yeah, we flew out to Los Angeles, and we signed a distribution deal with Bungalow Universal.
Huge. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I know the head of Bungalow. That is the head of Bungalow Records. Oh gosh, the name just
Paul Ring.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul Ring. Yeah, I actually spoke to Paul Ring a couple weeks ago because I'm working with a local group here called the High Children, Jason and Jamal.
Yeah, I know them.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm doing a show with them at the end of this month.
Oh, cool.
They wanted me to.
Is that the one at Substation?
Yeah, at the one at the Substation.
I'm actually going to be hosting that show.
We got like a techno EDM song called Maserati with my brother James Supo, and they want us to perform that song.
There you go, awesome. So I'll be seeing you there because they've asked me to bless the mic on the stage and host the show. So I'll come in and bring my MC abilities to get the crowd all riled up. So what's the current priorities right now? Obviously, it's big that you just signed a deal with Universal. There's a lot of artists here locally that would be a dream come true for them to acquire their brands and align it with a label like Bungalow. And shout out to Paul and his staff down there that have done quite well, putting multiple platforms in multiple cities on the market. And it's about time that Seattle gets the proper recognition and respect that we deserve up here. I mean, it's been a while, I mean, we kind of went through the phase where we went from Sir Mix-a-Lot, and then we went through the Macklemore business, and of course, there's you and there's Elena. And there's a lot of artists, the High Children that are, getting the pass, created for them right now to get the proper recognition that they deserve.
Yeah, we most definitely got a whole bunch of talent up here. You know what I'm saying? It's our turn next.
Yep. And what else did you do down in Los Angeles besides acquire that deal?
We just did a whole bunch of hanging out, you know what I'm saying, and just, my family's from Los Angeles, you know what I'm saying. We came up here in '76, so that's where my family's from. We just did just hanging out, you know what I'm saying, and just hung out with Jane and Paul from Bungalow, and then we got a publicist out there too out of Beverly Hills. So we just hung out with them.
Good. And what are we currently working on? What are the current projects right now in terms of when we can expect to see and hear the next album or the lead-up single that I can play here on my show?
We got a single called Eat, featuring my brother right here, Rob Rowley. He's a super talented artist out of Seattle.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying? And my brother 2 Mil, we got a song called Ordinary Girl. We're about to shoot the video too next week.
Great.
And then I got a single called So Funny.
Great. And maybe I can have the opportunity, like with Elena, I played Elena's song. It's called Chance, and I call it a world premiere here on my show at Studio 110.live and, of course, FutureNet.club. My main sponsorship here on the show, and everybody needs to be accustomed to those two big conglomerates. So when you get the song fully produced and mastered and it's ready to go, I'd like to be able to be one of the first shows around the globe to be able to play it for you. Debut it here first.
Yeah, just let me know when you're ready, because I already got all that done.
Okay, cool. So we'll I don't know if there's time. Let me check my clocks here. There might not be time today to do it. If I can get it on today, I will. But if not, we'll do a couple videos leading up. That I'll do some videos with you that you can share on your social, that you're coming back on my show, and we'll debut that. Let's go back and talk about the name of the song and kind of the history behind the song and the messaging behind the song.
Which song are you talking about?
The song that you just have done, that we just talked about, that I still might be able to play today.
Oh, So Funny?
So Funny, yep.
I got a song called So Funny. I did it with one of my friends, Jay Uno out of Tacoma.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just about a woman who's doing her thing, you know what I'm saying, working, whatever she had to do to make it. You know what I'm saying?
And what do you feel like in terms of not necessarily local here from the Bellevue, Seattle region where I broadcast my show every day here, but on a national and international level, what do you feel the music business is lacking that we need to get better at from an artist standpoint like yourself?
I just feel like the music, it's like everything sounds the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we got to, like somebody might make a song and then it might hit the radio and then it might blow up and then everybody wants to do that song.
Yeah.
And there's no originality.
Yeah, yeah. And that must be frustrating too, because and you've probably seen too a lot of labels today. When they ink the deal, when they ink the pen on the paper, they don't really think about the album business. They don't really think about the traction leading up to the album business. It's more about defining one song and then everybody banking on that one song.
Yeah.
And when I worked for Def Jam Records back in the day, before I went to Cube, I was in the LL Cool J, Foxy Brown, the early stages of Jay-Z's business, where it was about the full circumference of the priority, about not just focusing on that lead-up single, but taking the translation of that lead-up single and then migrating that into the album pattern itself. So
yes,
and we've seen the record company business change, drastically, even over the course of the last year. I mean, would you say that too?
Oh yeah.
And in terms of what you've seen over the course of the last year, in terms of alliances with labels and artists and artist management, I mean, what are your opinions and thoughts on that?
So to me, a lot of the new music, I'm really not too much of a fan of. The little young kids, man, they really don't have no respect for a lot of the older cats that really paved the way.
Yeah.
I think some of the stuff I see that's disturbing is these guys they'll take an old song and they'll try to make it new, and it ain't even up to par. If you're going to remix something, you got to remix it and do it better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It can't be under the bar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like BD said, it's a lot of imitating. You see, like, somebody come out with a song, like, a lot of people tend to bite Future's beats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Future will drop a beat, then everybody want to use the same sounds and samples and no originality, so
yeah.
I feel it.
Elena, from your perspective of being an artist in your category, what frustrates you, just in terms of other music that you're hearing that you may be a fan of, or other music that you're still trying to, kind of wrap your head around to a degree, but just from an artist standpoint, what are some things that frustrate you?
If we're talking about the radio, I stopped listening to American radio, like Seattle radio.
Yeah. Well, no one really does. Yeah.
Because it's really annoying
Yeah.
when you don't hear stuff from the back in the days, some from other countries. It's like
Yeah.
always same 5 songs, like 10 songs,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really want Seattle to change in that way, because even if you go to LA or New York, their radio station is maybe not the biggest mainstreams, but
Yeah.
like they have a lot of options where
Yeah.
you can listen to really diverse music.
Yeah.
Here it's like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
there's a format and no step right, or like I don't like it.
Well, let me ask you a question, Elena, and I'll kind of pose the question directly to you. How many, since you've been an artist and since you've been in this market and promoting yourself and your vibe and your sound, how many shows have you been on where they've played your song on the air?
Not a single.
Well, that was the point I'm trying to make.
And I do know some people out, but they're like, I love your stuff, but the format is a little bit.
So that's exactly the point I'm trying to bring up. As the show that I'm continuing to create here at Studio 110.live in partnership with FutureNet.club, I'm creating the inner pathways for artists to be able to come in here, play their music on the radio, and
That's
hear
fantastic.
and know everything that we're
Yeah.
doing here as a conglomerate effort here. So I appreciate you being honest, because I figured that was going to be your answer, but I wanted a real testimonial
Yes.
from an artist like yourself. And I think, you too, correct me if I'm wrong. How many, quote unquote shows have you been on where they're reaching out to you to express interest, to show love to a local established artist like you, BD Miguel, and
Zero.
Yeah. So it's nice to be back on the air after being on the air for 19 years and taking a little bit of time off and now being back at it full time. This is my life. My life is about two things. It's about putting on a damn good show and giving back to you guys, for you guys to have the platform as artists and someone like yourself too, who's a respected large name, in the footwear business here and in the fashion game, to be able to come in and do that. I mean, we could have been a show that plays 12 or 13 songs an hour, but how would that have been beneficial to you guys?
Yes.
And by being a talk show, I can have you guys in the studio with me and a lot of guests. I think Sir Mix-a-Lot said it the best. I mean, I had Sir Mix-a-Lot on my first show, and we were walking out of my studio here, and he tapped me here on my left shoulder, and he says, Dirty Harry, you're doing something brilliant. There's really nothing here in the marketplace here in Seattle where these artists and these people in the fashion business and tech and nightlife and pop culture have the arena and the outlets to be able to do this. And coming from Sir Mix-a-Lot, I mean, he's on a 47-city national tour right now. How many artists here locally can continue to reinvent the wheel, reinvent the pathway to be able to go out there and do 47 cities? Wow. And he's driving himself. He doesn't fly. He drives himself to all these markets, and he does everything else on the side too from his bus. Okay. So it's really cool to see. All right, so give me the name of the song that we were just chatting about a minute ago.
So Funny.
So Funny. Okay, So Funny. What was the inspiration behind So Funny?
It was just, I heard the beat. Usually the beat tell me what to say in the hook. You know what I'm saying? And then I wrote the hook, and then I just wrote in between the lines. You know what I'm saying? No, just like I love women. I love what they do. I love what they don't do. You know what I'm saying? No, and it was just a song for them.
Yep. And what are some producers and beat makers who you respect and who you look up to in the arena, in the business?
I deal with my friend J1 out of Tacoma, BG2000, DJ Rockefeller, my partner Youngstar, my other partner Ray Shines.
How about that guy right up there in that top picture right there by the name of DJ Battlecat?
Oh, yeah. I'm hip to Battlecat. He got some good work. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of my friends down in L.A. deal with him. I guess they're from the same neighborhood that he's from. So
yeah, he was just up here, and actually he'll be coming on my show in the studio, and he'll be calling in. I have to check with my show producer when he's on, but it's pretty big when you're working on Dr. Dre's album in Seattle.
Yeah, it's crazy because like when we were just in L.A., we're supposed to go to a barbecue that he was supposed to be at, but we never made it.
Yeah. I mean, I this is just my own personal tip is I don't feel, and I've gone on record saying this many times, I don't feel there's a better producer / beat maker that really understands the true sense of West Coast hip hop than Battlecat.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a chef. Like you ask him to present you something, and within an hour you've got it. I mean, he's brilliant. And when Snoop Dogg kind of went under Pharrell's umbrella to kind of project the Pharrell sound as Snoop Dogg being a West Coast artist, it was frustrating to me because I feel like the Snoop Dogg sound and era is really aligning himself up with the Battlecat. Just the songs that he's done. With Corrupt and Daz and all those guys. So that's what it's about. When So Funny will obviously is the current priority. Let's talk about the upcoming album. When can we expect to hear the album? Or
right now I'm just dropping singles. You know what I'm saying, through Bungalow. So I was thinking probably like about 6 months because we're working on my bro Rob Rowley's album. You know what I'm saying? It's about almost done.
Okay.
My brother Two Meals album. So we got a whole bunch of albums we're about to put out.
Great. And any upcoming shows that the fans can come out and see you at and see you perform at?
Right now I don't have any shows lined up.
Okay.
We got a couple shows we're going to do out in Los Angeles.
Well, let's change that. Let's get some shows. Maybe we can even do a show here at Studio 110.Live's headquarters, and we can do a show up here. We're accustomed to be able to do a show if we can get everything associated properly, and we can do a show here. Or we can do a show at wherever we need to do a show. But I think it'd be good to do a BD Miguel show because you've obviously got a fan base and attraction here as well as in the Los Angeles market. But maybe even some of your fans from LA would come up here just because you are a Washington-based artist, correct?
Yeah.
There you go. What are some advice that you would give to an upcoming artist that, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, but that really it's a dream come true ultimately for them to align themselves with a company like a Bungalow Universal ultimately.
Just stay true to your craft. You know what I'm saying? No, and just keep working. You know what I'm saying? No, because it's never too late. You know what I'm saying? And just stay true to your craft.
There you go. What are some ways that the fan base can reach out to you on social media?
They can reach out to me at facebook.com /KTINC Music Group 1, Instagram.com KTINC Music Group 1, Twitter.com KTINC Music Group, and then KTINC.com.
Okay. And are you open to people reaching out to you and asking you questions? Maybe want to do collaborations with you? And
I love collaborations. I love to meet people. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was talking to the jazz person, the jazz man that was sitting right here earlier.
Yeah.
I love to meet people. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know.
You never know. It's all about networking. You never know who you're going to meet, and sometimes it can literally be a life changer.
Yeah, I'm always with that.
There you go. So good. I'm glad to learn more about you and hear the proper pedestal that you're on and where you're headed. And if there's any artists out there that it would be a dream come true ultimately for you to be able to do a collaboration with, who would it be?
My favorite artist is Jay-Z.
Yeah. Well, he's coming here with his wife. Coming summertime.
Yeah.
It's a summertime show, and I've already put the requests out to his assistant to see. I'm not expecting him to come in, but it would be big for him to call in. So we'll see if that can happen. But that would be,
you never know.
That would be a big thing. So I'm sure he's already gotten the requests. But knowing Jay-Z and meeting him before and interviewing him before, he definitely doesn't make a decision quickly.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. So you never know. You never know what dreams can happen. One day they could be a B.D. Miguel Jay-Z collaboration, and people will remember where they heard that first. Right here at Studio110.live.
Yeah, you got to believe.
You got to believe, and you just people say no. You translate that into yeses. I mean, ultimately that's what it's about. On the fashion tip, because I got my guy Shante here from Sneaker Wars. What do you liking? Either in the shoe game or on the current kind of fashion tip that you're buying, that you're liking from brand awareness wise.
I like the patent leather Jordans. I grew up with Shante. We from the same neighborhood, so I've been knowing him basically my whole life. So.
There you go. Okay, I didn't know you guys knew each other.
Yeah.
Good.
Me, him, and Rob, we all grew up together in the same neighborhood.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like the patent leathers too. I mean, hopefully they'll. I want them to. Has there any talk to reintroduce the fully patent leather Jordan 1, the one that they came out with? That I know they've done it a few times, but
get ready. They're gonna do it again in the wintertime. Get ready.
Oh, they good.
But that new patent leather coming out, the all black, that's the one.
Because I think they should do it in all the original, like the Carolina blue and the red, white, and black, and then there's a black and gold.
Yeah.
Are there any other colors that I missed, or?
I want them to do a New York Knick. That's what I'm waiting on. That blue and orange is filthy.
To kind of to give some props and loves to good old Carmelo.
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee and
hard Nick.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to do like kind of a Carmelo Spike collaboration. Cool. I'm all about these busy shows where, like I said earlier, it's music and it's fashion and how they all kind of mesh up and team up so properly. I mean, we talked about Tony Shellman today, and Tony Shellman is just is a great. Brilliant designer, fashion maker here whose roots started with Mecca and Aniche, and now he's working with T.I. on T.I.'s kind of revamping and re-illustrating T.I.'s brand. So there's a lot that comes out of the Northwest that people aren't aware of, and the only time they really can get the self-awareness to it is like when they come out to a show like yours, Elaine. And if you can touch on that again for me, talk about your upcoming show that is tied ultimately around your song Chance that I played earlier on there.
Yeah, it's coming up on May 12th. It's going to happen at Charles Smith Winery in Soto.
Okay.
Really easy parking, so people should come and not be afraid of that part. It starts at 8 p.m. The tickets can be bought on Eventbrite.
Okay.
Just searching for Elena Mack, MAQUE, single release Chance.
Great.
Like any of those words will find it.
And you're offering them wine and hors d'oeuvres, and there's an auction.
At the party, there's going to be a DJ, there's going to be live music. My band will play a set, and we'll be doing collaboration with the DJ. He's going to scratch a little bit on the jazz tune, so that's going to be fun. We'll do the video premiere, and we'll have some hors d'oeuvres, wine, and live auction featuring local artists.
And speaking of the video, was the video primarily shot here, or did you do it in?
Yeah, I'm all for it took a while for Seattle to grow on me, but it's been growing big time, and I really love the city vibes, and there's a lot of city. City is another character in my videos, so there's a lot of beautiful shots of Seattle.
Good.
We shot it on the street, so just giving a little bit of things out, so it's going to be pretty cool.
When you shot the video, were people just standing on the sidewalks,
Yeah,
thinking that it was the paparazzi TMZ show?
Yeah, we actually got a lot of people doing that.
I bet you did, yeah.
Because stuff like that doesn't happen in Seattle a lot.
No.
It's like, oh my God, so much, excitement. But I loved seeing people's feedback of the music, because a lot of people came to me like, who wrote this? Like, this is so different. Because the style is not what people hear.
Sure.
It's different. It's, again, mixture of polka and tango and some Latin groove. So it's different, and it's sweet and nice, and I just wanted to give out this mood, and people feel the mood. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if we can get everybody here in the studio to come out and support Alena's, because it's all about supporting local artists. And if you can come out and support local artists, they'll come and support you, and they'll remember that, and they'll remember the proper footsteps and everything that was built into that foundation. And really, it just originates back here at Studio 110.live and FutureNet.club, and everything that we're doing. I'm scheduled from my LA crew is informing me that tomorrow or Friday at 3 o'clock, I'll be debuting and making a major announcement. I'll have another celebrity person on with me that I'll be interviewing live on the air to discuss this big event with. But this event will it'll affect everybody in a very positive way. It's an event that needs to take place.
That's exciting.
I'm not going to give any other details on it. That it is an event, and it's an event that it's A caliber. When I was starting to talk to the team in terms of putting this into place, just with my background at Summer Jam and these shows, I said, this is what the Northwest needs, and this is what the Northwest will wrap their heads around and come out and support. And the only other thing I'm going to say about it is it's we're going to define this as a feel-good event. It's a feel-good event that will sell out. It will sell out, and it will do well, because I will make sure it does, and I will be talking about it every day up to the event. That'll lead us into our next event. So we got a lot of great things here at Studio 110.live. I want to thank all my in-studio guests today. Of course, Ryan Conley from FutureNet.club. I want to thank BD Miguel. Thank you for coming in. I'm looking forward. Congratulations again to you, man, for you and your whole crew here for signing with Bungalow. I know Paul will take the BD Miguel sound and illustration and vibe and get it to the level that it needs to get to. And I'll reach out to him as well. And tell him that you were on the show with me today, and do whatever I can do. Matt, I told you, you're more than welcome. All you guys are more than welcome to. I like to have an open door policy. Obviously, my calendar's filled up for the next few weeks, but we'll get you guys back in, and I'm looking forward to coming to your event and seeing the video. And thank you for allowing me to have the world premiere of my show to play your new song. And let's continue this pattern and talk more D squared. You and I are D squared buddies here. So
yeah, we need D squared here.
We do. Well, we're working on getting Stephen LaGuardia on, the vice president of D squared in New York, and of course Shante from Sneaker Wars. You and I go back, and it's great to see what you're continuing to do for this market. And you really are. If there's anybody here in this market that's as vibrant as you are, to continue to put the shoe game and the clothing game and how those come together as a collective effort, because Seattle needs it. And there's a lot of retailers that you just don't see them doing it. So I'm really looking forward to not only seeing the pop-up shop, but the store that you ultimately open up, whatever it is. I'm going to come and fully support it. I like to do a live broadcast there, either the day it opens or the day before it opens, to kind of give people a sneak preview. So there you go. Thank you very much for coming in, and shout out to all you guys. Thanks for. I like the hoodie. Yeah. I gotta get one of these. I think I want a red one.
Oh yeah,
if you can put together a medium or a large for me. I'm all about hoodies, and I like kind of doing the leather jacket or. Thank you very much. Look, surprises are always happening on the show. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, one's for you and one's for your producer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll be wearing it, and you guys will see it on my Instagram either today or tomorrow. So cool. I appreciate it. Follow us on our Instagram at Studio110.live. If you're not already following us, we do these really fun. We're going to do one when I get off the air here on our after show patio. Okay. If it's not pouring rain, hopefully it isn't. If not, we'll do it here in the studio, and that'll kind of give a full recap in terms of what people missed if they weren't on the audio video side of the show today. So back in the captain's chair, back in the hot seat, Dirty Harry on my new show, Studio110.live. I'm on the air Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. Follow us, Studio110.live. Big shout out to FutureNet.club. All the big things we're doing here, and of course, be tuned in for my big announcement that I'll be making on the show either tomorrow. I'm thinking I'm going to do it tomorrow at 3 o'clock, but it'll be all over social to know when you can hear that big announcement from me. If you're listening to me on the West Coast here, out here in the Seattle market at Pacific Standard Time, got about 2 hours left, only 2 days left until good old Friday. I know a lot of people are, live for their weekends out there. You don't like your boss, you don't like your job. Well, hopefully the show is entertaining and provides you that relief. So that's what we're about here. So other than that, I'm going to sign off for the day. Looking forward to being back on there. Thank you again to all you for coming on the show today, and we'll have you back in. Studio110.live will return tomorrow, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard